do a lot of seminars, a lot of Q&As. Do you know, can you tell me what was the most common question that you being asked when you do the seminars? You know, whether it's in the States or overseas, like what are the most common
Yeah.
question they want to know from you?
Well, when I do my seminars, first thing they always say, out of respect, they always say, "Well, is there something you don't want to talk about?" And I'm like, "No, I fully, ex- try to be fully, transparent with everyone. The reason why is because I was an amateur athlete one time, and I wanted to know the truth. I want to know how I could turn pro. Frequently asked questions that I do get asked is, you know, um, how do you become a professional bodybuilder? What's the secrets? Uh, and then they want to know about how much do you take of steroids or something like this. And I address all of those, and I just start off with everything is trial and error. Believe in yourself. If you're going to do something, do it 100%. Do it for a purpose and a goal in mind, but also take all precautions and realize that you're taking your own life in your own hands and be smart about it and have a team around you, whether it's your family or someone, and be upfront and honest with them so that they can monitor you. So I always just lay it out like that, and especially now since you have a lot of kids inspire older, everybody wants to turn pro, and I always say, well, turning pro, what do you want to do when you turn pro? What's your purpose behind your driving and wanting to do this? Um, but I always try to lead them the healthy route. With us when we came along in the '90s, you know, of course, there's steroids in our industry. We know that, okay. But I wouldn't be doing my fans justice or any kid justice if I'm trying to lie to them and hide that, right? So I say, hey, listen, nowadays you go get your blood work done. You can go get your blood work done without guessing and taking black market things that's going to destroy you or possibly kill you. So you can be led. So we always take precaution first. First and foremost, I know I did with my career. I just didn't do things. I want to know what I was doing, why I was doing it, and the greater purpose behind it. Thank God I did because I've had a long, long career of understanding the process of becoming. But I think my job as a human being, as an athlete, and as a father is just to be a role model and say, hey, as a man, we're all going to take risks. But if you do it, if you take these risks, you have to know what these risks are, and are you willing to move forward with those risks? Then it's your decision. So, but you need to do it the right way, And now I'm talking about training, the mindset of training because it's huge. You have to know about your mind. You have to know what your body can handle. You can injure yourself in the gym just by doing an improper exercise, So these things you have to be mostly educated and trust your decisions and know what works for your body, what doesn't work. So I just can tell people what I've done, how I found my way through trial and error, and hopefully through my testimony, they can find their way.
Who did you learn from when you were coming up? Because I'm sure it was less
I didn't
knowledge
learn
back then.
from anyone. I really didn't learn from anyone. I would read about working out in the magazines, uh, but it was just a self-taught thing. Almost like you take a little bit from this person, you take a little bit from that person, you take a little bit of when it comes to posing. I took a little bit of posing from Lee Haney, Arnold Schwarzenegger, a little bit of posing from Sean Ray, a little bit of posing from these greats before me. That's how I developed my posing. The strategic uh, moves of my posing, depending on who I was going to compete against on stage, whether it was Dorian Yates or Flex Wheeler or Sean Ray, then this is how I'll come up with a thought of ideas of my presentation. How to pose, what to pose next to these people. When it come to nutrition, it was all like I competed 68, 69 times. So experience with trying to find out high carbs, low carbs, sodium, no sodium. And so going on these European tours, I really had an opportunity to figure out, as far as the caloric intake, what worked with the traveling, with the time difference and all these things. And you learn how to just collaborate time, with traveling, with sleep, rest, and recovery. So all of this stuff went into play as far as my nutrition. Now I knew when I was on the road, there's no point in me out there breaking down muscle tissue and training within 2 weeks, of traveling, because my body can't get 10 hours of sleep or rest to recover. So I knew that that was possibly not going to happen. So for me, I I just became a cyclopedia in my mind of stored information, of just processing everything and figuring out what worked for me.
Hmm. But yeah, it's definitely like
Mhm.
you mentioned, you have to figure out a lot of that stuff on your own. Where a lot of the kids now they can go and ask you,
Yeah.
and you honestly open up about it.
Yeah. I mean, it's, if my son asks me, I'm going to be open. So I figure, the world is, they're, they're our fans, they spend money to come to shows, but they love us. They care about us. They love the sport. They see what you do. They see what I do, and they want to know how they can just be part of it. And I feel like, we'll be just doing them just not not serving the gift that God has given me if I can't be upfront and honest with them and say, hey, this is what I've done. I can show you. I can tell you, but you are going to have to find your way and just use what I do, what I've done as being an inspiration to help you find your way. But the greatest champions, I think, are the champions who believe in themselves, that know themselves better than anyone else. Because somebody can tell you all what to do, this, but you have to really believe it yourself. Where the mind goes, the body will follow. So I always try to implement the power of the thought and believing in yourself and how important that is.